It looked as though the line could go as close as here.
And what would that mean?
Well, it's just totally devastating. My parents are in their early 80s. The house value will drop by 40%.
Tracey grew up on this farm near Great Barford in Bedfordshire. Her parents still live here. She says they only learnt the line could pass through here when she went to a consultation event.
Obviously, I was devastated because the work to the house, the renovations, has been done by my dad's own hands and only his hands over his whole lifetime.
The work Oxford to Bletchley is already complete or underway, but for the sections onto Cambridge, including through this part of Bedfordshire, there is much wider uncertainty.
A recent government review found the section of the route that would pass through here appears to be unachievable, while the current Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, said he'd scrap the line when he was running for the Conservative leadership.
The Department for Transport says a decision will be made by the next Prime Minister.
We're living in limbo. I think everybody is. Nobody knows what's going on. You're constantly living in fear because you just don't know what's happening. Nobody's giving you any answers.
Those that campaign against the plans particularly note the government report that questions the project's viability.
I think this is all further evidence that things have got to change, that what they're doing at the moment isn't going to stack up. But it's only evidence, it's not a decision, and that's what we really want people like Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak to tell us, is what is their view on this as part of the current leadership contest.
At East West Rail, they won't comment on Tracey's specific concerns at her family farm, but they say they're looking at responses to a consultation last year.
We're going through all the responses right now. We're making sure we take account of all of them in the final design, and when we do have a final design, we'll be out and asking people what they think of the next stage.
On the broader issue, a government review found this part of the project appears to be unachievable. The current Transport Secretary says he would scrap it. This doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I saw those comments too. I think the really important thing to remember is that this is a railway that was born out of the desire of all the local authorities along the route who really saw that there was a complete lack of really decent, affordable, sustainable transport in the area for people to use. That hasn't gone away. It's our job at the East West Railway Company to make sure that whatever comes in the new government, we're in the best possible place to give them the best possible design to move on with.
Do you think it will happen?
Wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Others, though, are not so sure about the future of countryside like this and the people that live there.
Well, it's worth pointing out many businesses support the connectivity this new line would bring. I pushed Hannah from East West Rail today on when we could get those final plans published, and she wouldn't put a date on it. But I think the bigger question now is, will this part of the project go ahead at all? To find an answer to that, we need to wait for a new Prime Minister.